Hey guys, this is my current sensor version 1 and this is my current sensor version 2.0. This is an all SMD current sensor with a small form factor, a greater accuracy and a greater current measuring range than the previous one. Let's get building. These are all the components that you would require to make this sensor module. As you can see that it requires very less components, most of which are salvaged from an old SMD based circuit. The main component of this circuit is the shunt resistor having a value of 5 milliohms. I got this from an old laptop battery pack module. This is the schematic of the entire project, and as you can see that we have the shunt resistor R005 connected via the load to ground. The value of this resistor as mentioned is 5 milliohms. Having the resistance between the load and the ground gives us a common ground to the entire circuit. This topology is called the low side shunt. This has an advantage that we can measure the small voltages with respect to ground directly. The small voltage is then amplified by the LM358, which is a dual general purpose operational amplifier IC. We are using only one op amp in non-inverting mode. In non-inverting amplification mode, the gain is determined by the resistance R1 and R2. Over here, a 100K and a 2.2K resistor gives us a gain of approximately 46. The input and the output capacitors ensure that the signal is free from high frequency and other noises. The three header terminals of the module are for power, this is VCC, ground, and the output voltage, which is amplified with respect to the input voltage generated by the shunt. Well, this is the basic block diagram of the circuit, and I have used the EasyEDA software to also generate the PCB layout. This is the PCB layout which I will be printing and later on using for the toner transfer method to fabricate my PCBs. After designing the circuit in EasyEDA, I took a printout of the layout and used it as a reference to cut a piece of the copper clad board according to the dimensions, which I marked using a permanent marker and later used a hacksaw to cut the piece out. Copper boards, when exposed to air for a long time, tends to form an oxide layer which impacts the conductivity. We should use a fine grit sandpaper and remove the oxide layer. Be sure to do this gently and don't apply too much pressure, or you would also erode away a little bit of the copper, which is definitely not what we want. With the sanding process done, it is now time to transfer the layout from the printout to the copper clad using the toner transfer method. For this, we actually need to invert the PCB layout along the y-axis. This creates a mirrored image of the PCB layout, which we will eventually flip and apply heat and pressure using an iron to transfer the toner ink onto the copper board. After the toner transfer method, this is what the copper clad board looks like. As you can see that the toner ink is now set onto the copper clad board, and we now have the exact layout that we intended initially. It is also a good idea to clean the copper clad board with a damp cotton to remove any excess paper fibers which might be stuck during the toner transfer process. As you can see that there is a part of the trace where the toner ink did not apply properly. This can easily be fixed using a permanent marker. Next up is etching the copper clad board to remove the unwanted copper, for which I am using a ferric chloride solution. Make sure you do the etching process in an open environment and ensure proper safety, because this chemical can be pretty nasty and can leave stains which cannot be removed easily. After about 10 minutes of etching with occasional stirring, you can see that most of the unwanted copper is now dissolved in the solution. Next, I remove the toner ring from the copper layout after etching, for which I use some kerosene and gently wiped off the toner ink using a cotton. You can also use some acetone if you have. Next is drilling holes for the THT components. In our circuit, we have two THT components, which are the screw terminal and the 3-pin male header for connections. I used a hand drill with a bit of diameter 1.2 mm for the screw terminal and 0.8 mm for the male header. And after drilling the holes, this is what the module looks like. It is now ready for soldering. The next step is to place all the components and check for any placement errors. For soldering, I will be using this fine tip soldering bit, which ensures that I have just enough solder to fix the components in place and not excess, so that I can short out two adjacent pins. This helps a lot. If you have a reflow oven, that will be great. Now, as you can see over here, I've soldered all the components in place, and this is what the final circuit looks like. All that is remaining are the two THT based components, which are the screw terminals and the 3-pin header. Well, there are basically two configurations in which you can solder these. You can either solder these on the opposite side and solder the pins directly onto the copper pads, or you can also solder the screw terminals and the 3-pin header on the copper side. I went ahead and soldered both the components on the copper side, and this is the final output. In my opinion, the circuit looks quite neat and compact for its capabilities. After soldering all the components in place, it is always a good idea to take a multimeter and check for any continuity problems and also the values for the SMD resistors. With the hardware and the PCB build finally complete, it is now time to move on to coding, for which I have used the Arduino IDE and the Arduino Nano board for my test circuit. The code can be loosely grouped into importing the libraries for the OLED display, assigning the address for the OLED display, and initializing the A0 as input. The loop section reads the analog value from the A0 pin, multiplies it by a calibration factor, and displays the raw analog value as well as the measured current in amps on the display at an interval of half a second, which is determined by the number 500. The important part of this code is the calibration factor. Well, to get this calibration factor for my circuit, I hooked up both the multimeter and my current shunt in series with a load, to which I connected a power supply. Now this current also produces a voltage drop in the shunt, which is amplified by the LM358 operational amplifier. This amplified voltage is then read by the analog read function of the Arduino, which produces a number from 0 to 1023. Now the number produced by the analog read function corresponds to the current which is being consumed by the load. Higher the current, more the voltage drop, and higher the analog read number the Arduino will produce. So, by taking a ratio of the actual current measured by the multimeter to the analog read value of the Arduino, we can get the calibration factor. With the hardware and software both out of the way, it is now time to test our project on the breadboard. Over here you can see the Arduino Nano, the current shunt and the OLED display which we discussed in the code. The output of the current sensors goes to the analog pin A0 of the Arduino. As you can see, I have also attached a multimeter in current mode in series with our current shunt, which will be actually measuring the charging current of my smartphone. For that, I am using a 12 volt battery pack along with a 5 volt buck converter. With the Arduino now powered on, let's switch on the charging circuit for our smartphone to evaluate the current parameters. As you can see, as soon as I've connected the multimeter, we have the charging current display. The current is also displayed on the OLED screen, which is calculated by the Arduino and the code which we had uploaded earlier. Here you can see that both the value from the OLED display and the actual value from the multimeter are exactly the same. This is indicative of the fact that our current sensor is properly calibrated and gives us accurate results. I hope this video was informative to you. If so, feel free to share your feedbacks and suggestions in the comment below. As always, more details to this project will be in the link in the video description. Like and share this video and consider subscribing to my channel. I will see you in the next one.